Wow. Wow.
Why do you keep saying that? Wow. You gotta just don't say wow.
Seriously, thank you guys. We recently hit 20,000 subscribers, which we are totally shocked by. Thank you for helping make our dreams come to life.
Yeah, the fact that anybody even wants to hear what I have to say is pretty crazy to me. So
It is.
So thank you guys so much. We thought we'd do a little Q&A for questions we haven't been able to get to. It's really important to us that this channel is just a really good resource for you guys. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, so we have a lot of questions. We got way more than we thought we would. So we split this video into 3 different chapters. So if you're looking for a specific topic, we are gonna start with personal questions and then do furniture flipping questions and then finally real estate questions.
So you can skip ahead if you're not interested.
Yeah, skip ahead. All right, question number 1. Are you going to encourage your children to go to college or become entrepreneurs like you? Right now, I am using none of the skills I learned in college. But I think college was still valuable because I met you.
True.
And also just learning how to be on your own and just live in the world was important and valuable to me. I don't know, what do you think about that?
I am a pretty big advocate that you don't need college to make good money in life. However, college was like one of the most fun, amazing times in my life. So for that reason alone, I would want my kids to experience that. But if they wanted to go travel or do something else, I absolutely would not be disappointed in them. Or we want them to be able to make those choices and to know that there's other options besides 9-to-5 jobs.
What are/were your day jobs? How many hours a week do you spend on flipping? Someone else said, if you have college degrees, what degrees? So
Okay, you go ahead.
So we are not full-time flippers. A lot of people think we might be, I think, based on our videos. But we really do it for fun. And the house flipping thing that we did when we first started our channel, that was more for like job type income. But
we are technically full-time wedding photographers. But we are actually phasing out of that and becoming full-time YouTubers. So that's kind of next on our list, and that's what we're working towards right now. I have a degree in photojournalism, which I never really used. And then go ahead with your degree.
Oh, yes, and my degree is science education. So I was a chemistry teacher for a little bit, but love what I'm doing a lot more now. So.
Yeah, so we work from home for ourselves full-time. We don't have a day job right now. And we haven't for about 8 years.
Yep.
With all your many business ventures, do you have the emotional and moral support from your family? Does your family help you? Just curious how you guys have the time to do everything.
We've kind of had to just figure out how to make it work. For example, pursuing the YouTube thing, once we realized it could actually turn into something, we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to actually make this a reality, because we don't have enough hours in the day to do it. So how can we make time to focus on it? So because of that, we decided to hire a babysitter and then have my mom watch the girls once a week. So that's worked out really well for us, but we just kind of had to figure it out.
I think though that our families have been really supportive of not having a traditional job, which has helped, although sometimes people questioned you giving up teaching.
Yeah, at first, when I first gave up teaching, that was when people were a little confused at why. They didn't really see the potential with our wedding photography business and where it was going. More on your FIRE lifestyle, especially planning for the unknown. This is a good one for you.
For me, why?
Yeah. Sarah's very passionate about living for the unknown, or...
What do you mean by that?
You get very fired up about stuff. I
get frustrated when someone hates their job, like a 9-to-5, and then they don't do anything about it. That's frustrating to me, but I should be more understanding that there are risks to that and that you need to make good choices and obviously not put yourself into financial trouble. But for us, we've just always, the risk has never outweighed the reward.
I always grew up seeing my dad come home from work, and he hated his job. You know, he worked in a cubicle, and I never wanted that because I saw the stress that it put on him, and I thought the way out of that was teaching. So that's why I went
Yeah.
into teaching.
To have summers off.
To have summers off,
Yeah.
to spend with my family. But I didn't really even know what this whole concept was or that it was possible. So once we learned about it, we both, I think, decided to pursue it with everything we had. So
I think part of our plan for the unknown, it helps us to not grip onto our money so tight, which is kind of something we talked in our last video about, is just loosening your grip on money, because it's not everything. I know that you definitely need money to survive and get by in life and that kind of thing, but just viewing it as a tool and not a sense of security is a huge help to me, to know that there's always going to be more of it. There's different ways to make it all the time. I mean, obviously we have a savings and that kind of thing, but yeah, not getting stuck on like needing exactly $20,000 in your savings account or needing exactly this much per month is helpful to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think one surprising thing a lot of people don't know about us is I think people assume that if you're all about financial independence that you are like know where every penny goes. We've seen other YouTubers who are like extremely detailed with spreadsheets and stuff like that. Our philosophy is more of a mindset, and I think we're fortunate to have reached this point, but we don't really, it's more about like decisions, and we know every decision we make counts. So yeah, we try to just spend as little as possible and make as much as possible, and that's it, you know.
Right.
Like,
We try,
it's pretty simple. So like I think for example, if you were to budget like $200 a month on clothing, I think you would spend $200 a month on clothing.
Right, that's a good point, yeah.
But for us, we're like, if we don't need clothes, we're not going to buy clothes.
Right.
You know? So I think because we have that discipline of, you know, keeping the goal in mind, we don't need to like allot amounts for like clothing or like eating out, you know.
Right. I mean, we buy clothes or we eat out, that kind of thing, but we just try to do it, you know, scarcely.
Yeah.
Is it the right word?
As needed.
As needed. Yeah. Spend the least amount possible and make the most amount
possible.
That's our philosophy on budgeting.
Yep.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. What advice would you give your pre-YouTube or pre-investing selves?
Definitely put your whole heart into it. We've done so many businesses in the last 10 years, and the ones that we've put our whole hearts into have just absolutely soared. And then the ones that we kind of put a little bit of effort into, we had fun with it, but didn't necessarily like pour our entire selves into, those ones didn't do as well. So to me, it's just absolutely, if you want something, you have to give it everything you have. You have to do it when you don't really feel like doing it. You have to maybe put money into it, put your time. You have to either lose sleep or, you know, you have to sacrifice. So definitely, if you want to make YouTube work or if you want to make an investment work, you have to put your whole self into it and make those sacrifices. It's not, you're not going to make it work by doing a little here and there. It's just, that's just what I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we were talking about YouTube specifically and how we wish we would have started sooner. We wish, I mean, over the years we've done lots of home renovations. We flipped a camper.
We lived in a camper.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of just things that our channel relates to now, and we wish we would have started sooner. So if you're thinking about starting a channel, you should start one right now.
Our lives are a lot more boring now than they were before.
That's true. Before our channel,
we did a lot of traveling. But we still have stuff going on, and we're still doing it. So definitely, start now.
What are some of your goals for life, family, and YouTube?
Wow. Okay. So we are not much of planners.
Sure.
So our goal with YouTube was to have 10,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is next April. And we hit 20,000 this week, so that was really exciting.
Yeah.
So now our next goal, I think, is 50,000.
Yeah.
But definitely.
By your birthday or when?
By my birthday.
Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to call ourselves YouTubers as our job. I don't know if we can quite say that yet. Maybe.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
But definitely, like, I want to feel like I'm making an impact, and I want to yeah, I feel like I'm making a difference. So just anything that is valuable in life, I think, is a goal of mine.
Yeah.
Another goal I have is I really want to buy a camper and travel the U.S. with the girls for like an extended period of time, like a few months at least.
Yeah.
Maybe this winter, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jamie, how much did you make a year as a teacher, and do you think you'll ever go back to teaching? Do you feel like this career helped you launch into the investments you have now?
It's a great question. I made $30,000 a year as a teacher, and it was a lot of work for that small amount of money.
And stress.
And stress, yeah. So really what I think launched our investing was once we started making enough money to invest, which was through wedding photography. So, and I really enjoy creativity. So not only is there creativity in, photography, but also in building a business, it takes creativity. So
Totally.
I really just enjoy that. And as Sarah said, we've tried a lot of different things over the years, different businesses. And so that's where my heart is. And
what would you say to someone who is a teacher or is making $30,000 a year if they want to invest?
Yeah. So I think if you are in that position where your income is low, you need to find a way to increase your income. That's the biggest thing holding you back. It's not about saving more money, because you might be able to save a few dollars here and there with your expenses, but really if you're making that salary, you need to learn how to increase your income. So that's where the side hustles come in a little bit, but you may even want to think about switching jobs and finding something that you can make a little more money at. So which is easier said than done. So
Totally.
But side hustles are pretty easy. Anyone can do it in their spare time. What are some things you do to keep your marriage strong in the midst of all the busyness you have going on? Yeah, I think we have been at points in our marriage when we are too busy to focus on each other. Which happens especially with being business owners and having a seasonal job with wedding photography. But and kids too. Yeah, that's for sure. So it is an effort to make time for each other. But I think we're kind of in the process of simplifying our life, and we are continuing to do that. I think with real estate investing specifically, we're kind of at like a plateau, which I think we are okay with right now, because we just had a baby girl and we are trying to figure out this YouTube thing. So by continuing to try to buy properties and leverage and all this stuff, I think it would make our lives a lot more stressful and complicated. So I think really right now our lives are really not too busy.
Yeah, so striving for contentment and just like being okay with that is important to us for sure. So we don't feel the need to like grow into this massive empire and we usually just try to have fun and just like enjoy it.
Yeah. We're having fun right now.
I'm having fun. We have a babysitter, like we're enjoying ourselves,
Yeah, it's true.
I'd love to hear about the role of faith in your work and your life.
I would say our faith is a really huge part of our life, and a lot of... Wow. Okay.
Just enjoy the song. Yeah, I think like that's a big reason why we are willing to take big risks, is because we believe that God has our back. Every financial decision we make, we really try to involve God in that process. And so we feel confident in those decisions. And so we know that He'll take care of us. And that doesn't always mean blessing us like huge financially or whatever, but yeah, we just have faith that He'll take care of us. So I guess that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. What 3 things would you do if you could go back in time and be 19 or 20 again?
So I think definitely just because you're young doesn't mean that you can't pursue financial independence. It doesn't mean that you can't start a business. So I think that definitely just start now, for sure. Do everything you can to make as much money as you can and save and invest as much as you can right now.
The earlier you start, the better. Totally.
Yeah,
yep.
For sure.
How did you achieve your first 1,000 subscribers? Was it just your quality videos, or did you have a plan to get there? The first 1,000 subscribers were definitely the hardest. So because we have the background in photography, making those higher quality videos definitely kind of came a little more naturally to us. We had the equipment for it, and also kind of some of the eye for lighting and stuff like that.
But I'm a big advocate that you can definitely still do really cool things with film with even just your iPhone. I don't think you need all this fancy equipment. We just happen to have it.
Yeah.
And we did have experience in it, and we did already have the knowledge of it, but that doesn't mean that you can't learn it. There's so many resources out there for that. But Jamie is really good at the SEO side of it. So he really researched how to make those keywords recognizable and how to get people to your channel and how to make your videos seen. And so kind of like the backdoor stuff of YouTube, Jamie really figured out at the beginning, and it still took a lot of time, but then once YouTube kind of recognized that, it took off. So definitely I would pour more energy into like learning the behind the scene YouTube stuff than actually learning how to like have a super high production video. I think that's really cool, and it definitely adds to your channel for sure. But just because someone is amazing at film doesn't necessarily mean that their stuff's going to get seen, because YouTube chooses who sees your stuff. So
yeah, you got to get people to see your videos, and so that's how you there's tons of resources out there about SEO, keywords, writing a proper description, all that stuff. So definitely, again, pour your heart into it and learn.
You share a lot about how you make money. What other kind of financial literacy / lifestyle tips do you live by to make sure that your expenses aren't higher than your budget?
I think we kind of already touched on that too, but it's more of just a mindset where like we're willing to live as cheaply as possible and then make as much as we can, and that's kind of our whole shtick. So
that's what we do.
That's what we do. Working for yourself is a huge advantage, we believe, because the harder you work, the more money you make.
Totally.
There's not too many salary jobs where you can actually do that unless it's sales or like something like that. So that's one huge advantage to being an entrepreneur, is that the harder you work, the more money you make. So that's really what we focus on, is how can we increase our income, more so than trying to pinch pennies here and there.
Totally. Was it natural for both of you to jump in front of the camera for YouTube? Trying to convince my hubs to start a channel with me, but we're needing a push. It was definitely more Jamie's idea. What?
It was, but also it was
You have something on your chin. Has that been there the whole time?
Probably.
Oh, frosty.
That was a good donut.
Anyway, I still feel incredibly awkward in front of the camera.
We both do. We both do.
I've never felt comfortable.
Yeah, it's not comfortable to get in front of a camera and talk, especially if there's people around, which we try to avoid. But I think it's cool because if you mess up, you can just retake it, and it's no big deal. So it's a lot easier than public speaking. Yeah,
I think YouTube is a really cool way to give you a voice, especially if like you are someone like us who is maybe a little bit more soft-spoken, or we don't always have the confidence to share this knowledge that I know we have, but I don't always feel like I know how to share it like in a group setting or even to a friend. And so being able to say it to a camera and making sure that my message is coming across clear is a really cool thing I think that YouTube provides for us.
And it's definitely helped us grow in that area too. I feel a lot more comfortable now than I did a year ago sharing.
For sure.
Where did you two meet? How long did you date before you got married?
We met in college at a midnight pancake breakfast that Jamie cooked for my hall at his house.
You wouldn't understand unless you went to a Christian college, but we had curfew. We weren't allowed to. He made me
breakfast. I didn't really remember him. Later we met up and I helped him hang up posters around campus. So for our first date, he took me to the top of the city overlook, and he brought these sky lanterns, which this was before Frozen, so I'd never seen a sky lantern before, and I was like blown away that he would want to do something so thoughtful and unique for me. And after that, he did tons of like different date ideas for me that were just unique. Like he taped glow sticks to a kite and we flew them at night. on like the
I really
ski
tried.
lift.
I tried really hard, and I had to try for like 6 months before she would date me. So, but we dated for 2 years and then got married. Camera/gear setup for the nerds. Well, I'm gonna just video it and then we'll talk about it.
That's your face.
That's my face. So we basically just have Sony A7R III with the 24mm lens on there, Sigma. Pretty basic. We used to have a gimbal, but it broke, so it was a cheap one. So we just kind of...
We use the GoPro sometimes.
GoPro, yeah.
We have other lenses, but we typically just use the 24.
Mm-hmm. That sweet donut mowing shot you saw at the beginning, that was the GoPro. So
Classic.
I'm proud of that one. We're getting a little cold, so we're gonna go sit in the truck for the rest of these.
It's freezing. All right, so we came in the car for a little warm-up break because it is 38 degrees outside here in Michigan and it's freezing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do these in here with our nice seat warmers on. It's my favorite part of this car. All right, so on to furniture flipping questions. Have any of the original sellers ever called you out for flipping their item? That's a good question.
Never.
Never. Nope. What are your biggest tips for getting free or heavily discounted items?
Well, we buy furniture from online auctions whenever we can. That's a big one. Searching for misnamed items on Facebook. So a lot of times people don't realize the value of what they're selling. They just call it like vintage or old.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. We check Facebook a lot. We go to a lot of thrift stores. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. It's like if you're sitting on your phone scrolling at night while you're watching TV, it doesn't really feel like work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When you flip furniture to sell on Facebook, how do you determine your selling price?
Yeah, we have a video talking about how our process and how we research and stuff like that. We'll link that down below, but it's pretty straightforward. We just see what other people are selling their items for, and we list slightly above that just because we do staging and make it look extra nice. So,
what are the best tools you have on hand to spruce up some of the items I plan to flip and sell?
Funny you should ask. I actually brought a couple of them.
You did? What you got? Okay.
This is my favorite tool right here. Vice grips. We'll link them down below, but they are pretty easy. They lock down like that onto your grandma skirt, and then you can just rip it off.
Careful with that thing.
That's the first tool. Second one, we usually use a pneumatic stapler, which is hooked up to an air compressor, but this one will work just as well.
Stop!
Just a hand stapler. We'll link one of these down below too, but that's for stapling on the cane. So the only thing is this might not staple into every type of wood because it's not as strong as the air compressor one, but for most projects it'll work fine.
Yeah. Other than that, we really just clean stuff up. So we use vinegar water to clean up a lot of our furniture because we don't like using harsh chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like a 2-to-1 mixture. How do you ensure safety when potential buyers come to your house to buy your flipped furniture?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Well, we always do porch pickup, which means that we never even see the people, that we just leave the item on the porch. They pick it up and either pay us by Venmo or cash. That's usually worked out really well for us.
Yeah. We recently bought a Ring doorbell, which records just for an extra safety measure, but we've never had a problem. How do you determine what is trendy or popular at the moment? Definitely just staying active on Instagram and Pinterest, and even like going in stores like West Elm or World Market. Like
usually have pretty trendy stuff. Yeah.
So I think just
researching in a way.
Research,
yeah.
And staying up to date what other people are posting or doing.
Sarah's very trendy.
What state are you in, and how do you stay on trend with furniture pieces? So we live in Michigan.
I mean, that does bring up a pretty good point. And right now, mid-century furniture is really popular in Michigan. We may be behind the trends out in California.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We probably are.
Or even like a coastal town might have different types of things people are into than what we are. But there's a lot of mid-century heritage in West Michigan as well as
that's true.
There's like Steelcase and Herman Miller and things like that.
Frank Lloyd Wright houses.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that mid-century design in West Michigan, so it's more popular here.
Yeah. So yeah, knowing your area for sure is key. Do you find more success in flipping items when buying the items from a secondhand store or from Facebook Marketplace? So some of both for sure. We are actually going to do a video on if you can get stuff a lot cheaper at more rural thrift stores, because I have a hunch that it's a lot cheaper out in the country than in our city. Thrift stores are actually starting to become really expensive, like kind of ridiculous. So, and then on Marketplace, you more so can get lucky with stuff, but it's not like everything on there is cheap, because it's definitely not. So if you live in the country, I think thrift stores will definitely be cheaper. If you live in a city, I think that you should search Marketplace and try to get lucky with stuff. But it's, yeah, you're going to have to search for sure. Do you pay for the materials you use to stage items, or are those things around your house? What about staging a house for sale? Do you buy the furniture, or is it your own? It's all our own stuff. We don't pay anybody to stage it. I think with design, you just kind of have to play around with things. So kind of try moving stuff around and just seeing how it looks, kind of step back and looking at it, is how I kind of visualize things. So we use stuff we have. If you don't feel like you have anything, you can definitely find cool pieces at thrift stores and things like that.
Yeah, just start collecting stuff.
Has anyone ever complained about the quality of an item after purchasing from you? Never an item we flipped. One time I sold a rug and the lady didn't like that it was shedding still.
It was a wool rug.
Yeah, which was just part of it. And so I gave her money back and she kept the rug. It's just not worth someone being upset at me in my book to save $50 or whatever. So that's the only thing. But as far as flipping anything, we've never had an issue. Yeah,
I mean, because you're using your personal name on Facebook when you sell stuff, those reviews are really important, so it's never worth it to get a bad review.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we flip stuff, we try to make sure that the pieces are quality. We don't want to sell junk. So
totally.
How long do you typically have to search before you find something worth picking up and reselling it? Are you able to find at least one item every time you look, or do you spend a couple hours looking through Marketplace or running around thrift stores? Sometimes you get lucky when you go out and you find a ton of stuff, and sometimes there's nothing. So it totally is like, you kind of just have to choose to have fun with it and not, you're not guaranteed to find something every time you look at Marketplace or every time you go to a thrift store. But sometimes you'll find a huge load of stuff. So yeah, it is totally hit or miss for sure. Do you tell people that you're flipping an item on Marketplace? So sometimes people will ask me how long I've had an item, and I think that's what they're asking me. So I will say to them, like, I just recently got this and I fixed it up and I'm selling it. So I do try to be honest without using the word flip. But yeah.
Most people, if they really like the piece, they don't really care. So, but we are honest with people. We tell them we buy and sell furniture, and never had an issue with it.
How do you handle multiple inquiries? I try to go in order of who messaged me first, but sometimes those people drag their feet and want to come pick up in several days. How do you move on to someone else in a fair way? That's a good question, because I definitely want to be fair to people and not be a jerk. But some people do really drag their feet, and that's frustrating for me as a seller, because I could have sold the item and already have made my money. And so in some ways you do kind of have to treat it like a business while still being kind to people. And so I will tell people, if they ask me, is it still available? I'll say yes. I'll say, would you like to come look at it? And if they respond to me in the first half hour or so, then I'll say, great, and then anybody else after that, I either tell them it's pending, or we'll tell them it's still available, but I'll let them know. So I try to be fair, but if someone isn't getting back to me within a half hour or an hour, then I'll say, hey, I have other inquiries. Let me know if you'd like to come look at it. And if they still don't, then I kind of move on. I have had people be frustrated at me for that. If they'll get back to me the next day and be like, you said it was still available, but then I never heard from them. And so I feel bad, but you kind of got to be quick on Marketplace. I don't know. It is tough, but
just be as fair as you can, but also you're running a business too, so it's not like you can wait around forever for someone.
I think that was the last of the furniture flipping questions. So now we're going to move on to real estate.
All right, real estate.
What would you do differently regarding real estate investing if you lived in a very expensive market in which single-family homes are $450,000?
Depending on it really depends on how serious you are about getting into real estate investing. in some of those markets, a lot of people will actually purchase homes in other markets. So we have a lot of people from California right now buying homes in West Michigan because it's attainable and the numbers are a lot better as far as your cash on cash return and stuff like that. So you could look into buying in other areas if you're okay with trying to find a good, reputable property management company. That's probably your number one challenge with that. In those type of markets, finding off-market deals is really where people make a lot of money. And really in real estate investing in general, if you can find off-market deals, that's how you're going to buy at the right price where you can make a profit.
Yeah, and I think we always try to encourage people to buy properties that aren't necessarily turnkey, meaning you have to do work to them. So they're probably properties that are undervalued and that you can put that value back in. So if $450,000 is the price of a home that is completely beautiful and fixed up and ready to go, but if you can find one for $300,000 that maybe needs $20,000 worth of work, that's really where
50 even
50, that's where you gain your equity and you can really put your value in. So what's it like to work with a rental management company? Tell us your experiences, etc. That's a really good question. Let's talk about that for sure.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of questions about like, how do you have the time for your rental properties, or like do you have to be handy to do rental properties? No, you don't. Property management, we feel, is definitely the way to go, especially if you are looking to invest in real estate and not have it be your job. So once you can find a trustworthy property management company, really it takes all the pressure off you. You don't have to go fix toilets at midnight like people think you have to, or handle evictions or anything like that. It's really in their hands, and then you just collect the money. So that's what we do. Our real estate right now is totally passive for us. With our rentals, we just let them handle everything, and it's really great.
So for us, our property management company charges 10% of the rent. So let's say we make $1,000 off of one property. They would take 100 of that every single month. So some people would say, well, I want all of my profit. I want the entire $1,000. I don't want to lose that 100 every month, because every year that's $1,200. But if you think about it in terms of time, so like you're going to have to collect the checks, you might have to do legal stuff, you might have to fix toilets or all that stuff, even calling contractors, whatever it is, that $100, let's say you might have to spend 30 hours a month to make that $100. So if you look at it in terms of time versus money, it's just like not worth it. You could be making so much more money doing a side hustle or something else with that 30 hours that you had to spend to make that extra 100 that you would be giving to a management company.
Yeah, I mean, we literally just get a direct deposit in our account every month. It's amazing. So rental property investing is not what a lot of people think it is. It's for us totally passive, and we probably could make more money at it doing it ourselves, but we don't want it to be our jobs.
Because we can make more money at other jobs.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much are you taxed on the profits you make from flipping houses?
That's a good question. So this is another one of those questions where the answer is I don't need to be an expert in tax law and all that stuff, because I don't want to be. And so we pay an accountant, we pay a CPA to do our taxes for us every year. And it's a lot. We pay like $1,100 for our CPA to do our taxes every year.
But she does a dang good job.
But she does really good. She set our business up correctly as an S Corp, and we really, all we have to worry about is making the money, and she worries about the taxes.
Yeah.
So I would say to anyone who is looking to get into real estate investing or starting your own business, a huge mistake you would be making is by trying to do your taxes yourself. By doing like TurboTax or something, you're going to miss out on huge advantages, and it's not about necessarily how much you make, but how much you keep. So if you don't know how to shelter yourself with taxes, you're going to give away way more money than you need to. So did that answer that question, you think?
So what are what's an example? What were we taxed on one of our flips?
I don't know.
We'll find out in January.
Yeah. So because we're flipping properties and we're self-employed, the profits from the flip is just going to be like regular income to us. So the short answer to that question is that it would just be taxed as regular income. Yes, we do have to pay taxes on it, but paying taxes is good because it means you're making money.
There you go. Have either of you ever considered getting a real estate license?
We've considered it. If we were to continue flipping properties, I think one of us probably would. But right now we're not planning on doing any flips for the time being, just with the uncertainty of everything going on. So
our realtor is also our construction person and our mentor. So to us, to be able to give him that realtor fee is kind of like a thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So,
yeah, that's good. Yep.
For us, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We know we could be making that extra 3%, but we value that relationship so much that that's kind of what we do. For a college student looking to start investing in properties, what's your advice?
I would try to get into a property as soon as possible. College is a perfect opportunity to start experimenting with investing because, like my parents did with me, where I rented to my friends, you can rent to your friends, pay for the house, and jumpstart your real estate investing. So the down payment obviously probably is the issue. Try to side hustle, do whatever you can to get that money. And you don't have to have 20% to get into a house. You can do as little as 3.5% for an FHA loan. So I would just try to get into a house as soon as possible and rent it out to your friends.
Totally, that's a great way to start.
We are running out of time with our babysitter, so like I said, we were totally shocked by how many questions we got, so we're going to answer some while we're driving. All right, someone asked, were you debt-free when you started investing in real estate? The answer to that is yes, we were. So if you're trying to decide what steps to take to get into real estate investing, definitely getting out of debt is your first thing you should do. You want to minimize your risk as much as possible, so get rid of all that consumer debt that you can. We did have some student debt at the end of college, but we were able to pay that off before we started buying our first home and stuff like that. So if you have debt, pay it off and then get started. All right, next question. Sarah's in getting some money for the babysitter. How would you start out investing in real estate if you weren't planning on house hacking because you already own a home? That's a tricky one, and we totally get that because we have a family, and so the prospect of buying a duplex at this point is a little harder to swallow. So what I would do is maybe think about, is there like a mother-in-law suite you could make in your home that you could rent out, or Airbnb, something like that. Just try to be a little creative with it, or else take that risk of using your home equity to buy another property. So that is a little more risky. So basically you could either risk financially by doing that with your home equity, or you could sacrifice by selling your house and buying a duplex. Really depends on how bad you want it. Would you start with a flip or rental? It really depends on what your goals are, but if you're looking for a big chunk of cash that you can invest, flipping is the way to go. If you already have cash and you want to do a passive investment, rental property. Do you plan to sell the house you currently live in?
Never.
No.
Maybe.
Well, we love where we live now. We have no reason we'd want to move, so we're happy.
Yeah.
We did fix it up though, and we have a lot of equity in it now that we didn't before because we fixed it up all nice.
We do get really excited about houses, so I could see us falling in love with like a different fixer-upper and wanting to do it.
Yeah.
But we do love the house we're in now.
Someone was wondering if they'd have to cut back on their full-time job in order to do investment properties. That goes back to the property management question, where we don't want it to be our job. So like you could totally work a full-time job and have rental properties. You just have to find a good manager.
You should probably work a full-time job.
You should work a full-time job so that you can have that qualifying income and you can cover your expenses in case you have something go wrong. All right, guys, that about wraps it up for us. Thanks for all the questions. We hope you found them helpful and got the answers you wanted. Thanks again for the 20K and for supporting our channel. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.